My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to share my screen. So my name is Neil Patel, and I'm one of the co-founders of NP Digital. Let me actually go into full screen. And today we're going to be talking about how marketers are spending their money in 2023. We have a lot of interesting stats and data for you guys. Sorry for the little mess up with the slides. I think when I export it into PDF, there's a little bit of a mess up. A little bit about myself. Again, I'm the co-founder of NP Digital. We're an ad agency. We're global. We're in many different countries like Australia, India, US, Brazil, Canada, UK. The list goes on and on. We work with companies of all sizes, from startups to enterprise companies, even the Fortune 100, and just helping them grow their traffic and sales and optimizing their conversions. And today I have with me David Shapiro, who has been with us since our early days, and same with Chris. David is in charge of earned media. Chris is in charge of paid media, and I'll let them do a quick intro of themselves.
Awesome. Thanks, Neil. Yep. So my name is David Shapiro. I oversee the earned media team here at NP Digital. Earned media, as we'll be chatting about, is SEO, content marketing, digital PR, and organic social media. And I've been in the industry for about 15 years, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation today about how marketers are spending their earned media dollars in 2023.
Awesome. My name is Chris Moreno. I oversee the paid media team here at NP Digital. That's paid search, paid social, programmatic, and basically any sort of biddable piece of media we could buy online. Approaching 15 years in the industry, ranging from small accounts to enterprise media spend and investments. So looking forward to making sure we can give you information across the board when it comes to your investment going into this year.
And with our ad agency, NP Digital, we have quite a bit of clients, quite a bit of employees. We're in a lot of different countries. We're just expanded to our 8th one, which will be announced soon, which is Singapore. Worked with a lot of clients of all sizes, have a lot of awards. We see a ton of data. We also have a lot of traffic on our website, and we ended up interviewing a lot of different companies and marketers to figure out where are they spending their money. And we thought this was super important because there's a lot of stuff going on in the economy right now. The stock market's tanking. It's causing people to cut back even before, let's say, their earnings or numbers are tanking, just so they can be prepared. And the economy overall globally has slowed down, growing at only 2.2% the second half of 2022. E-commerce growth has also slowed down. you've seen companies like Shopify who are crushing it. I remember at one point their stock before they did the reverse split, I think it is. So you get less shares for every one share you had. I think you ended up getting 10. And at one point, I believe their stock was like around $1,600, right? Reason Amazon, Shopify, a lot of them started getting hit hard was e-commerce growth slowed down. So the amount of revenue they were generating drastically slowed down. You also have a lot of AI tools that are coming out, like ChatGPT. It's super, super popular. I was using Google Trends the other day, and percentage-wise, it was substantially more popular than HubSpot, which is over a $10 billion publicly traded company. And popularity-wise, it was almost similar to Canva, which I think one of their latest rounds was around $40 billion valuation. So there was a lot of things that are just happening. And we wanted to know how marketers are going to respond. So we asked 8,032 marketers, and they answered. Technically, we asked more marketers, but we got 8,032 to respond. And we leveraged a lot of our site traffic, client data to figure out, all right, what's happening? When I say specifically client data, more so we just asked our clients to figure out, all right, what's happening? Where are people investing? What are they nervous about? Where do they see the growth opportunities in 2023? Because just because some things are bad in this environment, it doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for marketers. And we want to uncover some of those so you can see what other successful marketers and companies are doing to give you ideas on what you guys can do to grow your traffic and generate more sales in an uncertain economy.
So yeah, we'll start with earned media, right? And as we think about earned media, a primary component of it is SEO. So really thinking about what marketers are going to be spending on their SEO programs going forward. And when we looked at the research, yep, you just want to go one more, yep. So yeah, a lot of companies are going to be increasing their investments in SEO, 68%. Specifically, 11% are going to be maintaining it and 21% are going to be decreasing it. So you get about 80% of marketers who are going to be either growing their SEO budget or keeping it as is, and then about 20% that are decreasing it. And one of the reasons that marketers mention they're going to increase their investment in SEO is because it has a higher ROI than paid advertising. And this shouldn't really be a surprise to most folks on this call who have done SEO and seen the results. Here's an example from one of our clients that invested in SEO over the past year. They're a vehicle shipping agent in San Antonio. And over the past year, our team has been able to help them grow their results substantially. We've been able to help them get around 600% increases in organic impressions, 672% increases in organic traffic, and 655% increase in the amount of keywords that they have visibility for. So as you can see here, SEO is still a primary way to generate results for your business. And it's one of the primary areas that marketers are going to continue to invest in going forward. And if you're thinking about a couple different ways to really help grow your organic traffic and see better ROI from your SEO efforts, there's really a couple things to focus on. Number one are long tail keywords. Long tail keywords continue to be really important for SEO visibility. The more that you're able to rank for long tail keywords, the more likely it is that you're able to rank for a lot of the higher volume keywords over time as well. So the second thing to focus on is EEAT. And up to maybe a month ago, it was just EAT, but recently Google added another E for experience. I think this might be partly due to the increase in AI-generated content that we're seeing. So Google wants to make sure that people that are creating content are showing the experience that they have, right? So if you're an e-commerce brand, showing the actual product itself and how you're utilizing it might be worthwhile, or figuring out other ways to potentially show your experience is going to be really important in 2023 and beyond. And then last, but certainly not least, is optimizing your content for featured snippets. As you know, featured snippets are basically the top ranking URL for most queries. And there are certain things that you can do to increase the likelihood that you're able to show up in those top spots, right? You want to figure out the questions that people have that your content answers, and then make sure that you're answering those questions succinctly at the top of your post. You might want to have bullet points. You might want to have some sort of other list, but there's lots of different ways to go about optimizing your content to increase the likelihood that you show up for that featured snippet. The next area that we want to talk about is organic social media. Now, organic social media is one of the areas where there seems to be a lot going on in terms of how marketers are spending their budget. This is pretty evenly split. So we saw 32% of companies are planning to increase the organic social media budget. 26% are planning on maintaining it, and 42% said they're actually going to be decreasing it. So this is an area where I think that the marketers are making a mistake. Quite honestly, this is an area where I would definitely recommend increasing your budget to make sure that you're getting in front of your audience where they're spending time online. Well, I know a lot of marketers, are concerned about organic reach and the decline, but there's definitely things that can be done to help mitigate against those issues, right? So number one is making sure that you're nailing your posting schedule, trying to figure out when your audience is actually active on the networks that you want to participate is really important to maximize your reach and maximize the likelihood that people are going to engage with your content. You also want to show your face, you making sure that the content that you have isn't just written. It's not just words, that you're actually showing your audience who you are, what you stand for, and ultimately, what your brand represents are lots of ways to increase your reach and ultimately get more people to engage with you. And then last but not least is making sure that, you're focusing on what it is that your audience is looking for. There's lots of tools that you can utilize for this purpose. Answer the Public is definitely one of those that I'd recommend people try out, and really creating content for what it is that your audience is looking for. And that might vary on each social network, so really understand the networks that your audience is using and figure out what they're looking for on those networks, and then create content, preferably content that shows, you and shows your face to really help, maximize the reach that you're able to get through your organic social channels. Content marketing is another area that we wanted to look at. And content is still king in many ways, right? I mean, this is an area that marketers were pretty aligned on, and 83% of companies are going to be increasing their budget. 8% said they're going to maintain, and then only 9% said that they're going to be decreasing, right? So you have about 90% of marketers that are either growing their content production budget or keeping it as is. And, there's only a few marketers that mention that they're going to be decreasing their investment in content. And there's lots of ways and reasons that you should be creating more thought leadership content, particularly during a recession, right? Number one is improving your brand awareness, right? And just getting out there in front of your audience. Before people can become a customer of your business, they have to know that you exist, right? And so there's lots of activities that you can do from a brand building perspective, particularly from a thought leadership perspective, to increase the amount of people that are aware of you and to increase the amount of people that will consider doing business with you. And so that second bullet point is kind of along those lines. You're able to attract more new business opportunities, right? I mean, if people see content that you're creating and it aligns with their view of marketing or their view of the world, they are more likely to want to transact with you and do business. So the more thought leadership content you're able to create, the more likely it is that you're able to attract new customers and bring potential customers to your business. And then last but not least, again, pretty similar, but you're able to turn decision makers' heads to your direction, right? You're able to ultimately influence the people that have budgets and get them to consider you. And hopefully, down the line, they become a customer of yours. So thought leadership content is a great opportunity for your brand to become more well-known. And this is also an area where Google's looking to reward with visibility, going forward in 2023. One of the things that they're looking for a lot of these queries is differing perspectives, right? So for a high volume keyword where they may not necessarily know the intent quite perfectly, they're going to try to show a wide range of opinions. And so if you can create some thought leadership content that Google believes is relevant to what users are looking for around a certain topic, that's a good way to get visibility for a lot of non-brand keywords that you might be targeting as a brand. And then AI tools are another area where marketers were overwhelmingly going to be increasing their investment. 98% of business owners plan on increasing their AI investment. There's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, it allows them to really save money. And number two, it allows them to save time. A lot of these tools that are coming out, particularly the generative AI tools, that are able to create content for you, create text content, create visual content, and in the future they'll even be able to create video content. But these tools are going to be game changing in marketing. Obviously, I think everybody on this webinar has probably heard of ChatGPT. That allows you to create written content pretty easily. Now, is that content going to be great right off the bat? Of course not. But it allows you to go from 0 to 1 really quickly. And it's far easier to edit a piece of content than it is to create something new from scratch. So most marketers, or I should say almost all marketers, 98% to be specific, are going to be increasing their investment in these tools to help them create content that's relevant to their audience, to ultimately help them grow their business in 2023 and beyond.
So now we have email marketing. So with email marketing, it's been around for ages. Everyone already knows about it. You get tons of emails a day. A lot of people say email is dying, but the reality is it isn't dying. And companies and marketers are specifically investing more money into emails, mainly because it works. Over time, your list size grows, which costs more money on email marketing. You also have to now worry about things like privacy laws, marketing automation. And when you start segmenting your list and sending people specific campaigns that are related to them, you'll notice that it starts converting much, much better. But the majority here, over 90%, are either planning on increasing or maintaining their budget. Only 6% said that they would be decreasing their email marketing budget. We've always found email to be a massive ROI channel for our clients. And not a lot of companies leverage it efficiently. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of companies are using email marketing, but just sending emails isn't enough. It's when are you sending the emails? What's the messaging that you're using? When do you trigger them? How do you segment your list and send people upsells and downsells through email marketing? And we did quite a bit of this with Bavarian Clockworks, and their numbers just started rapidly growing, mainly because of email. 105% e-commerce conversion growth rate, 108% growth rate in transactions year over year, and 120% revenue growth year over year. Email has been massive for them. Just think about it this way. Amazon generates a lot of revenue. We all know that. Jeff Bezos is one of the richest people in the world. But when you think about Amazon, a lot of their customers aren't new customers. They're returning customers. Amazon continually sends emails and markets you to get you to come back. For example, I don't have a dog. I don't have even a pet. Amazon doesn't send me emails related to pets because if they did, there would be no conversions. That's an example of you need to segment and send people the right emails. Sending emails isn't enough. You got to send the right emails because there's more money to be made from your existing customers than it is from new customers, as long as you do your email marketing right. Then we have UX and CRO. I know they're a little bit different, but we put them hand in hand because if you improve over the overall user experience, it can improve conversions. If you're improving conversions, a lot of times that's also improving the user experience. Accessibility and just overall user experience. A lot of people are spending more in this category. When you look at maintaining and increasing, it's roughly 87%. The reason companies are increasing is because they know it's a key component to a lot of the algorithm updates that are happening out there. It's a key component to continually ranking high, because if people click the back button when they go to your website, let's say someone does a search on Google like flashlights, and then they click over to your website and they click the back button. And if everyone's clicking the back button, it tells Google that, hey, we do not like this site, rank it lower. On the flip side, most of the people who are decreasing their budget, it's mainly due to economic reasons. And another important thing for you to keep in mind when it comes to UX and CRO is ad costs. I understand right now in this economy, sure, in certain industries, ad costs are going lower. But overall, if you fast forward a year, 2, 3 years, 5 years from now, ad costs and just marketing in general is going to be more expensive. Unless you optimize your conversions and the user experience, it's going to be harder for you to make more money from those same amount of visitors. which is necessary with the rising cost of marketing. We have this company that we work with, and called Deliver Fund, and they're all about dedicating to fighting against human trafficking, which is a really big problem. A lot of people don't really think human trafficking is that common, but actually is much more common than most people think. And we were able to increase their conversion rates. On one of the landing pages, we got it up to 2.43%, which is quite a bit. And on the other landing page, we were able to get the total conversion rate up to 4.33% on two of their main pages, would drastically help improve their overall, results for their marketing. And when you're trying to improve the overall user experience and conversion rates with your own website, keep in mind, your gut will tell you a lot of things. Data will tell you a lot of things, but you need to actually run A/B tests, because A/B tests will definitively tell you this is either working or it's not. And you need black and white answers on if something's working or not. So think about user experience. If you don't think that you should invest more into it, I want you to have this key takeaway on why Google wants you to improve your UX. Now, when I'm talking about UX, it's not just design. It's also related to things like load time. How does your website look on specific devices? And if your website loads too slow, what you'll find is you're not going to rank as high, because most people, I don't know if you can see me, are searching with mobile devices when they're searching on Google. And just because they have 5G connections doesn't mean they're in an area that actually supports 5G. So it's super important. And if your website's not responsive, not just mobile friendly, but responsive, and here's a key difference there. I have a small cell phone screen. Someone may have a 7-8 inch cell phone screen. Someone may have a 10-inch cell phone screen. If your website can't adapt based on the device size, you're not going to do as well. So just keep in mind that these platforms want you to also improve your UX as well. So another one that I really want to talk about is podcasting. And this one was really interesting. Almost everyone is increasing their budget for podcasting. And here's the kicker with podcasting. If you look at how many podcasts are out there, it's less than 10 million. If you look at how many blogs that are out there, it's over 1 billion. Podcasting is still a wide open space that has a ton of opportunity. Just having a podcast is massive. And it's not that hard to get it popular when people are looking for podcasts, but there's not that many options. And most companies are interested in increasing their podcast budget for one main reason. A lot of these companies don't have podcasts, and they're planning on creating them because it'll allow them to attract a new audience and get their brand out there and generate more leads and sales over time. If you don't have a podcast, you should consider creating one. We have a podcast. It's called Marketing School. I have a co-host called Eric Su, or his name is Eric Su more so. We've been doing it for, I think we're going on over 5 years now. And we're getting close to 2 million listens per month. We don't really do much on the marketing end. It just grows again because there's not a lot of competition. So if you haven't created a podcast yet, it's not too late. We highly recommend it. And you don't need any fancy recording devices. Just go record from your laptop, put it up. There's a lot of hosting solutions out there like Libsyn, and it'll start syndicating your podcast to all the major places. And it's not that expensive to get started.
Awesome. Transitioning over to paid ads, we're going to start with paid search. Search ads being what's on Google and Bing, obviously, as the majority of the trends are there. But as we've questioned our advertisers and marketers, majority of the brands and advertisers are going to be increasing their budgets going into this year, 59% and 47% respectively for Google and Bing. And the main reason in returns, the returns for them, as it's clear, the ROI is very much the highest it can in comparison to other paid channels. 18 and 19% from Google and Bing plan to maintain their budgets year over year. But we know, looking at potential economic uncertainties going into this year, that it could change. So we have to be prepared for tightening of budgets and what restrictions come to with those budget setbacks. to be a little bit more efficient with where we spend our dollars. And with that, in some cases, I think it was 23% for Google and 34% for Bing, which may change as the increased investment from ChatGPT into Bing's platform, to see where that goes in terms of their offering going into this year and next, could change the outcome. So it'd be interesting to see what the questioning looks like if we were to do this for 2024 this year. But things to keep in mind as budgets could tie in. We need to be ready to answer relevant questions around ROI. What ROAS is driving from our investment in paid search? Are we truly driving business outcomes with these search investments? And understanding what measurement you should be putting in place when it comes to investing in paid search. An example from one of our clients, Shelf, which is a growing influencer marketing startup. They actually came to us needing to help launching their paid search programs. Obviously, capturing leads was their primary KPI to start. And over time, I think 6 months time frame, increasing lead volume by 108% and a conversion rate by 46%. Obviously, as we understand and identify the funnel, it doesn't always start with leads. These are the conversations, especially as we go into 2023 with budgets could be tightening. We need to understand what is the right KPI to measure. And if it's actually moving past leads further down the funnel from a sales marketing qualified lead or a sales qualified lead, or the lead value, what is the pipeline value of that lead as it matures, are the questions in the modeling that we want to have with our clients. And those are some of the more sophisticated conversations we have with some of our enterprise accounts. I know recently won an award with a client called ConnectWise, which is an enterprise global software company. And from there, it eventually starts with leads, and we actually look historically at a blended cost per lead across multiple products and regions. But we need to be able to work with them and understand what happens once a user clicks on a Google ad and goes into their Salesforce and eventually starts to mature with their sales team to qualify. How do we ingest that data back into Google to bid methodically on the right measurements of, investing in the right search query that's entering the auction to move to the right cost per lead capture? So we actually are moving the needle from cost per lead to actually cost per MQL, or in some cases, cost per SQL, and telling Google we only want to bid on the ones that we know eventually lead to the search signals that are going to be qualified leads, and not necessarily just every lead to treat the same. So there is ways, and I think for that account specifically, we had 167% increase in sales qualified leads, 100% increase in sales qualified leads based on ROAS, so the pipeline value of those leads, and it allowed us to reforecast and rebudget to increase going into this year. As far as thinking about paid search and going into this year, one of the biggest things, as I mentioned, with thinking about a client like ConnectWise, is how much first-party data can you ingest back into these search engines to better inform our keyword auctions. So in some cases, I think I had failed to mention why people might be pulling back on their increases in search is because they saw decreases in cost per leads or their keyword volume was going down. Well, to caveat that, we want to make sure that you're always doing continuous keyword research as this keyword research continues to change. So whether you're using Ubersuggest or Google's Keyword Planner, you want to do and continue your keyword research. But also there's ways to match and leverage broad match search query strategies. But they only doing so in conjunction with the smart bidding strategy that's going to have the right guardrails in place to make sure that you don't go crazy on your keyword costs, but you want to elaborate across how you invest your dollars and on test different match types. But with that, to take advantage of the right bid strategy, leading into a broad match query strategy on top of that, you want to have some sort of connection with your backend data. So whether it's Salesforce integration and actually porting in data directly from Salesforce or HubSpot on those lead qualification changes or those customer value changes, the lifetime value of someone coming to your website and purchasing multiple times, the more you can inform and feed back into Google, the better we can actually change the bid strategies to optimize towards a ROAS in terms of lifetime or the sales qualified lead in terms of pipeline value as well. So a little bit more sophisticated in terms of the strategy, but there is technology partners and there is ways to do it to elevate the way that you're buying paid search specifically. And that's one thing from an efficiency standpoint. If we're going to be cutting budgets back, you need to find out what's the best way to insert the auction, and not all leads are created equal. So identifying what is the best KPI to measure when it comes to your search strategy. Social, moving over to the wild, wild west of marketing is what is coming, as obviously strengthening consumer privacy laws are coming upon us. Data depreciation, murky targeting or loss of targeting that we once had. Businesses are concerned about obviously Facebook and Instagram, or obviously Meta's platform overall, and Snapchat, and just iOS privacy changes in general has put a halt to some of our investments on some of these platforms. But brands are showing some excitement across the board when it comes to YouTube, Pinterest, and the biggest winner of them all is TikTok, which is growing. And it's growing, I think, at 84% and led the way in terms of their increasement in budget overall year over year. With that said, as TikTok being the real winner, it's because they're continuing to grow. They're capturing more eyeball time, and the boom of video-first social platforms like TikTok is making us as marketers reconfigure our strategies around visual, content that the creator wants, which is short-form video. It should be your top priority for this year if you're thinking about TikTok. I think the projection forecast for TikTok users is supposed to hit 800 million users by the end of the year, which means a lot more eyeball time. So you as a marketer should be seeking the right content creators out there to create vertical video that aligns with your brand. That's the content they're consuming. And it's obviously TikTok leading the way, but that has influenced how do you get and cross-pollinate and cross-post the content to IG Reels, YouTube Shorts, Pinterest Idea Pins. Like every other social platform has created an inventory for these vertical video. And with that, ad inventory also exists. So when it comes to your ad strategy, it's thinking about the right video first creative it's going to make an impact. Other online buys, I think one thing I failed to mention, the last one, is our B2B advertisers are going strong as well. So don't forget about LinkedIn and some of the opportunities you have there. They actually announced some pretty cool opportunities that's coming within the product roadmap. So keeping and maintaining the investment within LinkedIn, I think 57% increase in LinkedIn going into this year. But on the other ad side buys, 28% plan to increase. 78% plan to increase their investment into podcast advertising. So just as Neil mentioned, there's not a lot of podcasters out there in comparison to the amount of blogs that are out there, but there is that many more viewers and people listening in and searching. So for us to actually identify a new medium and advertise in that space, we buy this inventory programmatically for our clients. So we're able to think about it similar to the way you buy display ads or YouTube ads or video ads on the internet. You could target users programmatically through an audio function in conjunction to visual representation of an ad as a takeover as well. So something to think about when it comes to your strategy is how you target these users who are searching based on the genre of the podcast, but also you could use all first-party data, all third-party data to target them programmatically as well, regardless of what podcast they're listening to get in front of that user as well, knowing that they're spending a lot of, in this case, ear time instead of eyeball time on these platforms. The bigger winner for us is thinking about as well, on top of it, is streaming ads. So think of your OTT or over-the-top advertising, or connected TV, which is CTV in the industry, as growing number of consumers have pivoted to this outside their linear viewership, which is traditional TV, to streaming TV. The eyeballs are there, and it's only growing and growing bigger. Hence, Netflix and Disney are fighting for eyeball time, and they're actually diversifying to include an ad-supported model when they're with their offering. So something to think about is aligning your brand messaging and what video content you have out there to be present and active in this inventory. And how do you maximize the use of your first-party data? If you are an enterprise marketer, leveraging your CDP partnerships to be able to tailor and target and measure people within this inventory and measure them post-view is going to be a big thing for us kind of going into this year. And for those who are net new to advertising on streaming ads or OTT and CTV, Think about it as another extension of display and video advertising. You can reach highly targeted and engaged audiences on Hulu, on Amazon, on where they're streaming, similar to how they are searching online and what they're targeting on social. So it's similar targeting capabilities. You could track incremental performance KPIs post view of your ad on streaming devices. And really, if you're a smaller advertiser trying to get your feet wet, there's ways to do it from a self-service platform, or you could access a wider inventory of programmatic exchanges. But in reality, when it comes to thinking about this inventory, you could also align with a remarketing strategy. If you really think about it, you could actually retarget people who visited your website with a streaming ad on Hulu the next time that they log in to watch a video. So there's a lot of opportunities to target, re-engage, keep the brand top of mind when it comes to OTT and CTV advertising. Speaking of which, we had a recent call with our DSP partner informing us about the newly released Netflix advertising supported options. So this is obviously a little bit more for the elevated enterprise advertiser out there, but at the end of the day, it sounds as if, even though it's in its infancy stage, there's opportunity to take advantage of capturing this audience where they're highly engaged and there is inventory available for brand awareness advertisers. So just because it's exclusive and still early, we're learning there's ways for advertisers to get on board. Obviously, there is a little bit of specific within the minimums to take advantage of this, but there's also affordable run-of-network ways to buy. And you could target people based on the genres that they're watching, the top 10 streaming placements, but in reality, it is still early. It's starting with 15-second pre-roll and mid-roll non-skippable ads. There's only certain participating countries available to go after and target, but there is a roadmap to what's to come, whether it's contextual targeting, leveraging and using third-party measurement, and brand sponsorships and takeovers are to come. So it's still new, but it's just goes to show and tells you that there's more and more eyeball time within streaming platforms, and it's just an opportunity to keep your brand top of mind and target these users where they're spending their time. And that's about out of my end.
And last but not least, how marketers are spending their budget overall in 2023. If you look at the B2B side, just overall, people are looking to either increase or maintain their budgets. There are 21% are planning to decrease. B2C side, 26% are planning on increasing or maintaining their budget, and 23% are planning on decreasing. Look, the key takeaway, in marketing, if you can make something profitable, it doesn't matter if it's a good economy or a bad economy, you should be spending as much as possible. And when things are going bad, it can also create opportunities for you to spend a little bit more and gobble up more market share. And we're seeing companies thrive in all sorts of economies. Like, we talked about Netflix, Airbnb. There's countless examples of big companies that were built during hard times. And if you can gobble up more market share at a cheaper price, that's usually some of the best time to go and double down on your marketing. With your marketing, if you're struggling to figure out where you're spending your budget this year, or even going forward in the future, or how to allocate in different categories and what will provide you the biggest ROI, you can always hit us up at NP Digital, where we're here to help companies out, and we try to help companies of all sizes really just grow and expand through digital marketing, and do so in a very profitable way as well. So that's it. We're going to get into some Q&A. You can always scan the QR code with your phone, just bust it out the camera feature, and it'll end up taking you to that URL to book a call with anyone on our team if you have any questions related to your business or how to grow. And let's open it up for some Q&A.
Thank you, guys. David, Neil, Chris, that was great. Very insightful. I'm John Hoft. I am from the partnership team here at NP Digital, and I'm going to help get your questions answered today. So we've got award-winning executives here from NP Digital So please take advantage of that. A couple themes that I picked up on in your presentation and in the questions. Recession came up a few times. ChatGPT came up a few times. So I'm going to bundle in a few questions into one big one that you guys can tackle maybe right off the bat. Neil, I know you've been talking about AI for a long time. I think I went back and saw a video from 2016, and I'm sure you were talking about it before then as well. But with things like Bing utilizing AI, how is that going to change SEO from that perspective, and how is Google going to look at content in that perspective as well?
Google will eventually end up coming out with their own version of ChatGPT. Think of it this way: with that type of content, Google has it's not about AI content or human written content. They just don't want crap content, period. And if you just start putting out AI content and it's mediocre, it's not going to rank that well. If I was doing a search for the term auto insurance, I believe there's 1.4 billion results this month in the United States, 300 and something thousand searches. There's over like 4,000 results per person who's searching. There's a lot of content. They already have an overwhelming amount. People really click on page one. If you want to be super conservative, they're only going to really page 2 or page 3 max. So there's just too much content out there. So if you're going to use the tools or pay people to create content, it better be good content. That's the first thing. The second thing is Bing is integrating this within their own search engine. But when you do a search, for a lot of the searches out there, what's 2 plus 2? That's 4. You don't need to go to a website for that. And you can get that on Bing or you can get that on Google without going to websites. But the big difference is think of ChatGPT as not a replacement for Google or Bing. Think of it as a better version of Siri or Alexa or I think Apple Home or Apple Pod. I don't know what the Apple version is called. In essence, you want answers to your question. A lot of that kind of stuff, ChatGPT is going to provide, or you're going to, it's going to help you do a specific task. But if you're looking for the best toaster oven, that's not something you use ChatGPT for. So there's still going to be a use for Google. Yes, there may be a little bit less searches or quite a bit searches, but the searches that will be happening on Google will still drive a lot of revenue. A lot of the searches that you're going to end up losing out are more informational searches or people looking to get an answer for something specific, which a lot of times don't really cause revenue right then and there for a business.
All right, great. That was helpful. I think also it's worth noting we're going to dive deeper into search on another webinar later this month. So you're going to hear more about that as well. The other thing was recession. You hit on it a little bit, but from an agency perspective, what are we recommending to our clients, both SMB and enterprise, in their ad spend and budget right now?
That's the easiest one, and I know Chris can add more to this, but this is performance marketing here that we're talking about. We're not talking about just going and buying a ton of television ads. And even if you are, it's trackable now, assuming you're not doing it the traditional way. If you can spend $1 and make 50 cents in profit or $1 in profit or whatever the number is, you should spend as much as possible. And if you currently can't scale your marketing and do it in a profitable way, start looking at channels like email marketing, conversion optimization to see if you can squeeze more revenue from your existing user base and traffic. Because once you optimize those, it usually opens up a bigger window for you to spend more money on marketing in a profitable way.
Yep. I'll double down on that. And again, going back to leveraging your CRM or your CDPs, your first party data, and understanding those segments of opportunities to go after the ones who've already opted into your brand, into you, into your messaging, and see what way you could provide additional value and upsells and opportunities that can continue to grow with those who've already purchased from you or already want to be connected to you. But also when it comes to recessions are short. And in some cases, sales cycles are long, right? I think the average recession may be 11, 12 months. In some cases, a lot of our enterprise B2B clients, what I was mentioning, from a lead to a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead to a sales close one, that could be 12 to 24 months, 16 on average for some of these more enterprise solutions. So the sort of tactics in which we go after those users doesn't change. We may have to continue to message them and continue to go after them and provide value and keep the lead warm. But those are the things that we really know that it doesn't change the game in which finding the right qualified audience to go after when it comes to more of the B2B enterprise strategy, whether it's ABM or just thinking about the way in which we're going to get the qualified lead over time. And it's not every initial inquiry from a lead standpoint.
Great, thank you. So kind of a follow-up on that, just in terms of, and maybe David, you could take this one, advantages over utilizing an agency versus in-house. And when it comes to NP Digital, is it only enterprise clients? Is it SMB clients? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, sorry, John, could you elaborate a little bit? Is the question?
Yeah, just what are the advantages? We've got marketers questioning whether they should be hiring an agency or building an in-house marketing team. What are the pros and cons of that?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I think obviously, I think a big advantage of an agency is the different types of resources and specializations that you have access to. When hiring an in-house team, you have to be really deliberate about, do I bring on a content specialist? Do I bring on an SEO specialist? Do I bring on, a developer who knows SEO? There's lots of different questions that you need to consider around what types of roles to bring on specifically. And the benefits of an agency, at least ours, is that, we have teams of experts in all of those areas. So, if you're able to work with us, in for SEO, for example, we have team members who are experts in content marketing and in link building and digital PR and then technical SEO. So by working with an agency, you have access to all of those individual skill sets that you would need to hire for separately, if you were to do it in-house. Right now, it's not to say that it can't be done in-house, right? There's obviously tons of incredibly successful in-house teams that do really well. But on balance, that's a question that I think is unique to each business. But I think the primary advantage of an agency is the different skill sets they have access to, the different clients and different verticals that they operate in. Because one of the things that I think is unique too is that we have clients in all sorts of different verticals, and we see lots of different. We're looking at lots of different search results. We're looking at lots of different types of competitors and what's working. So yeah, I think, lots of different ways to look at that problem, but, some of the biggest advantages of the agency are, unique skill set, and then also just knowledge of lots of different verticals.
Great. Thanks, David. Chris, you had talked a little bit about some other paid advertising solutions. We've got some marketers curious if in-stream or in-ad purchasing or live stream shopping came up at all in the survey, and what's your take on that?
I'm not sure if it came up per se within the survey, but I know it's continuing to grow as the user behaviors and the eyeball times on these platforms like TikTok, like YouTube Shorts, Amazon offering their own. It's going to continue to adapt, because if they're already in time live, tuning in live, whether it's on Meta or IG Live or TikTok Live, they're spending a lot of time actually pulling time away from traditional viewership on YouTube maybe, or on, in some cases, streaming. If the eyeball time is there, platforms are going to continue to try to keep the users engaged in those experiences. And in order for brands to take advantage of that, the ad inventory, the ad offering is going to continue to be developed. In this case, purchasing and having, as you go through a live experience, the products being featured or talked about are going to be sponsored, and ability for you to click to buy and purchase in real time as well. So they're always going to continue to advance the technology in which they're going to give those users an experience of what they want, which is engaging, but they're in it to make money. So they're going to find ways to monetize that opportunity, not only for the content creator, but for the brands as well.
All right, great. Thank you. Neil, maybe this one's better suited for you, but anybody can take a stab at it. This marketer is looking for recommendations or tips in regards to content collaboration with influencers, specifically on TikTok and Instagram. What tips or advice do you have for a marketer looking to work with influencers in that capacity?
So there's a few things. Number one, you need micro influencers, not popular influencers. If you just go after like a Kardashian, for example, yes, they may have a lot of followers, but majority of their followers won't be interested in your products and service. If they are, then great. You know, if you have something that's highly relevant to their audience, then maybe consider it. But where the real ROI is working with influencers on TikTok and other channels is you go for micro influencers. So let's say you sell makeup products. You look for influencers that are just doing videos of how to put on makeup the best, how to remove makeup, how to do makeup without acne. Like, I don't know, right? I'm making stuff up about makeup here, but you guys get the point. And if they have maybe 50,000, 100,000 followers and a lot of it, figure out just reach out to them and set up a deal where they promote your product or service. You give them either free product or you give them money, because some of you guys may not have product. This works for both B2B and B2C and physical products as well as just services. And when you hit them up and you get them to talk about your product or service, some of them will ignore you. Some of them will say yes. You negotiate the price. It's a volume game. You need a lot of these influencers, not like 10 or 20. One of my buddies, Mike, who runs Legion Athletics, who is a NPD client, the model is not how you get 100 influencers or 500, literally thousands. I'm not joking here. And you weed out the ones that aren't profitable and you keep doubling down on the ones that are profitable. And you just create a whole army of these influencers. Now, the key is having them talk about your product and service in the video or image. And then when they link in their bio or wherever they're linking or telling you to go, that landing page needs to have the influencer on there. So if you have an influencer talking about you, but that influencer isn't on the landing page, there's too big of a disconnect. And what you'll find is your conversion rates aren't as good as what that you want. But if the influencer is talking about your product or service and they're also on the landing page, you'll see a much higher conversion rate. And that's how you get the economics to work out, because then they're more part of the company, part of the marketing versus just a quote unquote paid influencer.
Got it. Very helpful. Thank you. Neil, can you elaborate on mobile AMP, accelerated mobile pages? And is it worth it when you have to create multiple versions of a page? Would you recommend that?
So with AMP pages, you don't really have to create multiple variations. You have your mobile friendly website, and then you have AMP related pages. A lot of news oriented websites that were leveraging AMP at the beginning have gone away from it. You can still leverage it. It's not a big factor on if you do it or don't do it. It's going to really boost your rankings or not. David, have you seen or have we seen anything recently on AMP that shows that people should be using it and it drastically boosts revenue? But same.
No,
so he hasn't seen it either.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. And actually, it's one of those things that's probably becoming less important over time, is the presence of AMP. So I think your resources, your technical resources specifically are better spent on other things than creating AMP pages.
Yeah, the only time I really recommend AMP pages if you have like WordPress or something and there's a plugin that can do it. But there's a big issue with AMP that a lot of people don't talk about. It's really hard to drive conversions when people are on an AMP related page. You know, you can't have all the elements you would normally have on a mobile page, and you'll drastically notice that your mobile conversions will go down.
Very good. All right, we're running close to the top of the hour. I'm going to ask one more question, probably more specific for Neil, but there's a couple questions that have come up asking you to expand on what it means to be to generate thought leadership type content, and is it better to brand yourself as a person, a website, or a company? And I'm guessing it really depends on what you're selling and what you're doing, but maybe you can expand on that to close us out.
So there's no right or wrong approach. You have big brands like Coca-Cola. Who's the face of Coca-Cola? I bet no one here will know. Yes, they have a CEO, but there's not really a face of Coca-Cola. On the flip side, people like, Ronaldo or LeBron James or Kylie Jenner or Kardashian have built amazing companies with personal brands. So is there a right or wrong approach? No. What I tell people is Don't have faceless companies. We talked about that a little bit in our presentation. People don't want faceless images on social media, right? Image with a face gets more likes, more comments. I would actually do both. Why can't a company build a brand? And why can't you have people within the company also growing their personal brands, which helps both the company, and the company's brand also helps that individual. Great example of this is both Chris and David also have brands and are posting on places like LinkedIn and creating content. So why can't there be both? As for what is more effective, and I believe it's easier to sell a corporate brand than a personal brand. For example, Tony Robbins, great person. I don't know him, but has done extremely well. When Tony Robbins passes away, hope he lives forever. I'm knocking on wood for him, but this is just an extreme example. When he passes away, call it 50 years from now, technology makes him live a long time. What is that brand worth? Without Tony, it's not worth as much. But if you can create a corporate brand, it can continually live on without the individual. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do both.
All right. Thanks, Neil. Do you want to
Awesome,
close us
everyone.
in?
Yeah. Thank you guys all for taking the time to listen in. If you guys need help with your marketing, check out our ad agency, NP Digital, where we help companies of all sizes grow. Really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day to attend. Cheers.
Thank you all.
My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you.